There are moments in cinema that feel less like entertainment and more like fate. Moments where an actor and a role collide so completely that they cease to be separate. For millions, Keanu Reeves is one such figure. A man who has walked through grief, through silence, through the punishing toll of action cinema, and returned time and again with stories etched into his skin. From Neo to John Wick, from personal heartbreak to global adoration, Reeves is not simply a Hollywood star. He is a survivor, a symbol, a legend. And now whispers grow louder that the end we thought we witnessed in John Wick, Chapter 4, was not an ending at all, but the prelude to something greater. The hidden return of John Wick, and the untold toll that journey has taken on the man behind the myth. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the unseen, the unspoken, and the unforgettable. Before he became the face of cinematic revolutions, Keanu Reeves was a boy whose life was shaped by absence. Born in Beirut and raised in Toronto, his childhood was scattered with displacement and uncertainty. His father left when he was just 3 years old, a wound that would echo through the years, leaving him with questions that no success could ever silence. From an early age, Keanu carried with him a sense of transience, of never fully belonging anywhere. That feeling would one day bleed into the characters he portrayed. Wanderers, outcasts, men searching for meaning in a chaotic world. In the classrooms where he struggled with dyslexia, words on a page seemed like a puzzle he could never solve. But on stage, under the lights of a school play, language transformed. Acting became not only a craft, but a sanctuary, a place where he could speak without being broken by silence. That refuge became his compass, guiding him into a world where emotion mattered more than perfection, and vulnerability was not a weakness, but a gift. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, Hollywood began to notice. Films like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure painted him as the affable, goofy slacker. Point Break gave him the edge of an action hero, and then Speed cemented him as a box office draw. Yet even as his career soared, Keanu remained a paradox. He was present, but elusive. A star, yet somehow detached from the machinery of fame. To the tabloids, he was an enigma. To audiences, he was something more. A rare actor whose authenticity made them feel as if they knew him personally. But behind the easy smile, life was far less kind. In the late 1990s, Keanu faced two tragedies that would mark him forever. The stillbirth of his daughter with partner Jennifer Syme, and Jennifer's death in a car accident not long after. Those losses carved silence into his soul. He rarely spoke about them, but they shaped every performance, every interview, every pause between words. He was not just an actor playing roles of grief and resilience. He was a man who carried them. That weight made him human in ways that Hollywood rarely reveals. Keanu's fame grew, but so did his distance from the spectacle of celebrity. While others craved headlines and paparazzi flashes, Reeves seemed to retreat into quiet places. He was often spotted alone, sitting on park benches or riding the subway unnoticed by the world around him. These images, sometimes captured by fans and shared online, became viral symbols, not of loneliness, but of humility. Hollywood was glitter and chaos, yet here was a superstar waiting politely in line, giving up his seat to a stranger, walking home with groceries like anyone else. His silence became his language. In interviews, he spoke slowly, thoughtfully, often leaving long pauses that felt more profound than rehearsed. To some, it seemed awkward. To others, it was honesty. In those moments, Reeves wasn't selling a movie or himself.
He was simply being. That authenticity resonated deeply in a world hungry for truth. As the early 2000s unfolded, his career faced turbulence. Some films failed to find audiences. Critics doubted his range, questioning whether his earlier successes were accidents of casting rather than proof of talent. But Keanu did not fight back with anger or defensiveness. Instead, he leaned into the silence, continuing to work, to train, to quietly search for the next story that would allow him to speak without words. And then came a shift, a role that seemed to channel every wound he carried. In 2005's Constantine, he played a man haunted by demons, both literal and metaphorical. The film found cult status, its tone and aesthetic reflecting the internal battles Reeves himself seemed to know too well. Though critics were divided, fans embraced it, sensing that something of Keanu's true self had bled into the performance. What made these years remarkable was not the success or failure of individual projects, but the way Reeves endured them. While others spiraled under the weight of criticism or faded quietly into obscurity, Keanu remained steady, grounded by a philosophy he rarely articulated but always embodied. That life, even in its most painful silences, was worth continuing. By 2014, few expected Keanu Reeves to reinvent himself once more. Yet when John Wick premiered, it wasn't just another action movie. It was a resurrection. At its heart, the story was simple. A retired assassin mourning the death of his wife, clinging to the last gift she left him, a puppy. When that symbol of love was stolen from him, Wick's grief ignited into violence. For audiences, it was more than revenge. It was catharsis. Keanu infused the role with raw vulnerability, his eyes carrying the weight of unspeakable sorrow. The choreography was brutal, yet balletic, every movement deliberate, every strike a reflection of years of pain and discipline. This wasn't the glossy action of Speed or the Matrix philosophical spectacle. This was intimate, visceral, personal, and audiences felt it. Wick wasn't just fighting criminals, he was fighting grief, memory, the relentless ache of loss. Behind the camera, Reeves's dedication transformed the film. He trained tirelessly, mastering firearms, martial arts, and choreography that blurred the line between reality and performance. Unlike most stars, he insisted on doing the majority of his own stunts, taking falls, crashes, and strikes that pushed his body to the edge. The toll was visible, but so was the authenticity. When fans watched Wick fight, they weren't watching fantasy, they were watching Keanu himself endure. The film's unexpected success sparked a franchise, each installment deepening the mythology while pushing Keanu further physically and emotionally. What began as a small story of revenge became a saga of survival, both for Wick and for Reeves. It revived his career, redefined modern action cinema, and reminded the world that legends are not born once but again and again, from the ashes of silence and pain. Yet the cost of this rebirth was steep. Action cinema may thrill audiences, but behind every scene lies sacrifice. Reeves's body, already scarred from years of stunts, bore the weight of John Wick's relentless violence. He had suffered spinal injuries in the past, undergone surgery, and carried lingering pain that never fully healed. Each film added new bruises, new fractures, new mornings where rising from bed was its own battle. And yet, he never complained. On set, he was known for his endurance, his quiet determination. Crew members spoke of his discipline, his willingness to repeat punishing takes until every movement felt authentic. But away from the cameras, the pain was real. Keanu often described recovery as part of the job, a reminder that authenticity came at a price. His silence about the severity of these injuries was not denial, but resilience, a refusal to let hardship define him. What made this sacrifice so powerful was the way audiences felt it. The weariness in Wick's movements, the heavy breathing after a fight, the grimace of pain. They weren't just acting. They were echoes of Keanu's own body, his own struggle. In that sense, Reeves gave more than performance. He gave pieces of himself. The battle was not only physical. Grief still lingered in the background of his life, shaping his worldview, influencing the roles he chose, and deepening the authenticity of his portrayals. His quiet reflections on mortality and kindness resonated with fans who saw in him not just a movie star, but a philosopher of pain and survival. When John Wick, Chapter 4, ended, many believed they had seen the final chapter. Wick's journey closed in blood and silence, his story seemingly finished. Fans mourned, but they also accepted it, believing it was the right ending for a man who had carried so much grief. Yet in Hollywood, endings are rarely final. Whispers began, of producers hinting, of Keanu smiling mysteriously in interviews, of storylines left unresolved. Could John Wick truly be gone? Behind the curtain, conversations were happening. The franchise had become too powerful, too beloved, to simply end. And Reeves, though weary, was not finished. Negotiations, scripts, and quiet confirmations began to suggest the impossible, that John Wick would return. This was not just about box office numbers, it was about legacy, about proving that resilience can outlast even death. For fans, the idea was electric. The thought of Reeves stepping once more into Wick's suit and shadow sent anticipation surging across social media. Every rumor became a headline, every smile a confirmation. And though no official announcement could silence every doubt, the sense was clear. Keanu Reeves was not done. The legend would rise again, scarred but unbroken, carrying with him the weight of every battle fought on screen and in life. And so, as the lights dim and the credits roll, Keanu Reeves remains more than an actor, more than a star. He is a man who has endured silence, loss, and pain, yet continues to rise with dignity and grace. His legacy is not merely the films he leaves behind, but the humanity he brings to every role, every gesture, every quiet act of kindness that ripples across the world. From Neo to John Wick, from the haunting demons of Constantine to the whispers of new legends yet to come, Reeves' story is not about invincibility. It is about endurance. It is about choosing compassion over cynicism, humility over arrogance, and resilience over surrender. In a world hungry for authenticity, he offers something rare: truth. The hidden return of John Wick is not just a cinematic event, it is a reflection of Keanu himself. A man who cannot be silenced by grief, who cannot be broken by pain, who continues to fight not for glory but for meaning. Hollywood may be filled with legends, but few carry the weight of humanity as he does. This is not the end of his story. It is only another chapter, one written with scars, survival, love, and the kind of authenticity that transcends fame. As long as there are stories to tell, fans to inspire, and battles to fight, Keanu Reeves will remain what he has always been: a beacon of humility, a warrior of resilience, and above all, a legend who belongs not only to Hollywood, but to the world.